Ich bin ein Springfielder.
Shut the hell up. I've got the strangest feeling someone's gonna kick his ass.
Hello, peasants. Want to kill all humans? What's there, dude?
We'd like some money. Yeah, money. Money is cool. We got whores in the city. We need backup now. Don't be so dang literal.
Well, you've got one heck of a nerve.
Oh my God! The government is here. Run!
Hey, barkeep, whose leg do you have to hump to get a dry martini around here?
Ich bin ein Springfielder.
Shut the hell up. I've got the strangest feeling someone's gonna kick his ass.
You guys, this is all Kyle's mom's fault. Shut up, Cartman. Kyle's mom is the one that started that damn club, and all because she's a big fat...
All right, everyone, we're here live on YouTube yet again. Man, another week,
Yay.
another totally Toonular. We got a full house today. The whole crew's here. And man, I don't know. I got nothing much. Didn't really do much today. This week, I did see some movies actually. I saw this random animated movie. It's called Robot Dreams. Have you guys heard of it?
I've heard Guillermo del Toro have some sort of like reaction to that where he thought it was a very moving animated film.
Yeah, it's very moving. It's made by a Spanish director that I don't know the name of, but it's independently
Then
made.
it makes sense why it was Guillermo del Toro
Yeah.
that saw it. And
But it's
reviewed
not
it.
a Spanish movie. Actually, there's no dialogue at
Oh,
all.
wow.
And it kind of exists in this like BoJack kind of horseman world where the people are like animals, And then it's
Oh,
about
wow,
this like
okay.
lonely dog who like builds the best buddy who's a robot. And then him and his buddy go on an adventure, but then his buddy gets stuck it takes place in New York City in the 90s too. So it's all like very 90s New York. And then he gets stuck. They go to the beach together, and then the robot's in the sun too long and then gets stuck and he can't move. So then his buddy can't move him out of the beach and then tries to go back the next day, but the beach closes. And it doesn't open until June 1st, which is another year. So it's about the robot being kind of stuck on the beach and then this guy trying to find friendship and waiting a whole year to get his buddy back. It's pretty amazing. It's, I said, no dialogue. It's all sound design. And it's just like, it's like beautiful. Like, I can't believe how good the sound is.
Well,
And
that's right up your alley then if it's all sound design.
the animation, sound design, all of it. Yeah. There's like a scene in the subway that just sounds like the subway. And it's just really sick.
It just sounds like
No,
the
it's like the way, because it has like a, the dude who's like banging on the fucking buckets, like drumming on the buckets, whatever. And then there's like the certain like maybe it's just me being a sound nerd, but it's like the reverb in the side, like the way the subway sounds and how the sound bounces, just like it was sick. It was really good.
I love it.
One of these days
I
we'll
love
talk
it.
about it. Right now it's still out in theaters, and it only had a very limited release. Like it was only playing like twice, and we just happened to just sneak in at like a 4 p.m. showing.
That's awesome. It's like if you had to compare this to the other limited release that we saw earlier this year, Sasquatch Sunset, which stands out to you? Because that's also a movie with no dialogue.
No dialogue. Actually, this is better for sure. Just because there's a lot more heart. I mean, we had eventually. Actually, no, our episode did come out. I forgot we didn't pre-record that one. I did like the Sasquatch movie. It's super weird, but the ending just kind of just is like, all right, this is how it ends. And then the robot movie is like kind of like heartwarming, but also like a little sad. Like there's a lot going on without literally saying anything, which is really
Got
cool.
it.
And so
I'm
the
here for
90s
it.
New York, the way they do it is just really sick. And there's some spoilers about it, but I don't want to say it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just good. Whenever it goes on streaming, it's worth everyone should watch. We will probably watch it whenever it's actually
Aw,
available
cool.
to the world, because right now it's not. So.
Oh, you're the best, dude. No, that sounds awesome though. I'm very excited for it. I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, shout out to Stevie Lou again. He's been like my movie buddy. We've been seeing, because he has the same A-list, so we just go see fucking everything. Actually, I think this weekend we're trying to make it work, but they're doing the Lord of the Rings trilogy in theaters, so we're trying to figure that out. But that's also like 8 hours. So
Yeah, that's a massive commitment.
That's a full day. Yeah.
Like that is a massive commitment. Yeah.
But yeah,
And I hear, speaking of good sound design, you're working on something else there, aren't you?
yeah. I mean, I guess whatever. I'm doing Where Dear Sound now because someone decided not to do it, a year ago. Actually, it's funny you bring it up because I thought about something actually yesterday, or whenever Veda posted it. So Veda had posted her like credits, right? She's like, this
Right.
is my like prime credit in the fart department. And I totally forgot that the farts were like a thing that now I'm going to have to listen to. And
You're going to
mix.
have so much farts, James. Yeah. You're going to have to listen to Nadia making plopsies. Like, it's...
I'll have to make it nice and loud for everyone to hear.
I mean, when what is it? When one of the deer strippers is banging her boobs against Randy's face, right? And you just hear that fibbity fibbity fibbity.
Oh, that's gonna be fun. I'm gonna mix that up for sure. I remember on the day recording that, we're like, you got to save this.
Liz, I never saw a prouder man in my life than when James came over to me and he's like, Ben, you have to hear the sound that I just caught. And he's like,
It was like,
it's amazing.
Another
And
line
it
I'm glad,
was.
since I'm doing the sound, I get to keep is which is such a throwaway line from you, Ben, but it's like when Jazz is in jail and you're just like, shut up, sweet tits. Blah, 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 blah.
I go, hey, keep it down in there, sugar tits. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea how to end a thing, so like gibberish works for a lot of people, and it seems to work in that moment.
Well, it's
I think
staying.
Jazz's bathroom. I'm giving it away too, but Jazz's bathroom scene, and that's some primo sound effects. Like
Yeah.
that will stay with me for the rest of my life.
Well, wait till I mix it. Hopefully it'll stay even more.
Oh my god, it's so much poops, y'all. I'm very proud of it.
And everything
Very,
I
very
said, I texted this to Ben too, but I want to add more clown noises to the cops.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Whatever you want to do in it, have fun. Like, and then we're done. We
Just finish it.
combine the files, and then it's over.
It's finally over. And then we can
it's
do our last podcast. when it's done.
Yes, about years later, and then release the whole thing. Here it is, 2 years over. It'll be 3 years.
Yeah. But yeah.
Oh my god.
But yes, that's what I've been up to. But Liz, how's it hanging?
It's all right. See, you had a great run of going to see films, and I have made a valiant effort at seeing films that are new to me and films that are new in the theaters, and I have just struck out
Really?
every time. I saw In a Violent Nature
I haven't seen that yet. I was
last
gonna see
week.
it, but haven't had the chance.
It's rough. It
I've
needs
heard
about
mixed. I heard
40
people
minutes
being
shaved
like,
off of it.
I heard it's like fun, but doesn't know where it wants to be of like goofy slasher or like serious, like kind of art house horror. That's what I've.
It
Yeah.
feels like for about 40 minutes or so of this film, it feels like I'm sitting in the living room watching one of my children play a sandbox type video game and not knowing where they're going.
Oh.
And that's just what you're doing. You're waiting, and and I get it. It's point of view, like I understand what they were trying to do. It's just not executed very well.
I heard the dialogue is awful.
It's abominable. And there's a Friday the 13th alumni that pops up towards the end of this film, not to give anything away, but all of that is, I mean, that's an additional 15 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes of unnecessary dialogue and just unneeded scene that went nowhere.
Damn, yeah, that's rough. I said I've been thinking about seeing it. I was gonna see it, but I chose Bad Boys to go see instead on Friday.
Be glad you did. And I tried to watch Creep last night because there's going to be a Creep 3.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
I've
never seen the second one. I love the first one.
I was there for it like, what's wrong with me? Like, I can't figure out if it's because I set these expectations so high now and they don't meet it, or if like I'm an old fart and I just don't get it, or what it is. But I made it through. Like, the first bit of it, I thought, this is pretty cool because, I understand what's happening and this guy's crazy and, how he's reeling this other person in and how he's acting. And then I start turning into an old person and I'm saying, why didn't they just call the police to begin with? Why didn't he, like, I'm putting logic into it.
You can't with that movie.
You can't.
No. And then you, so you made it all the way through though, right?
Yes. And I will say that is the best of the movies I've watched so far that I was too snobby to watch previously, and now I'm revisiting them and giving them a chance.
Nice. I like Creep a lot because a lot of it is just, it's like this whole notion of like, I am hiring someone under the guise that I want to leave like a video, a diary for my kid that I mean, it is so bizarre. And then when he's in the bathtub, like, and you have to wonder at what point that videographer, like, if we're to put it in like any quote unquote real sort of lifetime, you gotta wonder at what point does his mind switch from like, I'm doing this job to like, you know what, maybe I should just keep recording this guy because this is its own special documentary. I might be on to something. Do you know
it's
this
possible.
will become entertainment. Yeah. Well, the whole time though, I'm just like, it's getting under my skin that the guy is allowing this to keep happening.
Right.
He's allowing this to go on. He even gets a phone call at one point during all of this stuff. He had access to a phone. He could call the police. Couldn't find your car keys, call the police. Did he do that? Absolutely not. Like, that's crazy.
It is like, I mean, it's obviously the world you jump into. It's like, Well, maybe we'll ride this out and see. I
Yeah, I
can
mean,
see
it's
that.
been a
as-
minute since I've watched it too, so
I
maybe
turn
I should
into
rewatch it.
Abe Simpson, and I'm just like, this is what I do when I watch movies now, and I don't want to be that person. So I'm trying
Have you
to
seen
expand my
Have you
horizons.
seen
Right.
Furiosa? Not a lot of
What's that?
people. Have you seen Furiosa? Not a lot of people have apparently.
No, and I really want to.
It's pretty epic. It's pretty
George Miller all the way, no
Yeah.
matter what. I
Yeah.
mean, Witches of Eastwick, George Miller, give me all of it.
Yeah, and I love Fury Road. This one's like Fury Road definitely more epic. I'm not gonna lie, but this movie still kicks ass. There's a whole like 15-minute chase, action sequence that took 78 days to film, which is insane.
78
Wow.
days.
Yeah, for this one sequence, and it's insane. It's amazing. They have this giant truck they call the War Rig, and it just looks like this big kind of like tanker, like regular trucks. Where the fuck they're called? Like the ones the Amazon truck, big looking motherfuckers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like a Sprinter van or like the semis, right?
Yeah, like a semi truck, and it has like 2 engines on it. And it's got these like spinning spikes and shit on it. It's fucking sick.
Oh my
Chris
God. To
Hemsworth
have
rides a motorcycle chariot, which is also crazy.
to have money to be able to do stuff is you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what a dream. What an absolute dream.
Yeah, so Furiosa, Liz, if you ever get a chance, that's something good
On
to check
it.
out. That's worth watching. So, but yeah, Ben, how you doing? How's talking about movies that need money? Yeah.
No, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm holding up. I'm holding up so far. There's a long road ahead of us. Very long road.
Well, you were just in Cleveland, weren't you, with the boys?
Well, yeah, with the art department, and I met our effects friend in person. They've been doing testing, they've been picking up stuff, so art department is good. But yeah, I got in for a whirlwind trip. I showed up Friday evening, and then we were up making graphics until like 4 a.m. And then we got like maybe 5 hours of sleep. We also watched one of your favorite movies, James.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Batman?
it's
Batman?
kind of like Batman.
Is
Do you know what I'm talking
it
about?
Bat Pussy?
Yeah, we
You finally
We did
watched
s-
Bat Pussy.
finally saw it.
The AGFA restoration?
Yep.
Sweet.
Oh my God. Liz, have you seen this?
Oh, yeah, I have.
I had never, and this is one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my entire
Yeah,
life.
when we first watched it, Reeves was like, I don't think we should show Ben yet, because he may not find anything else more enjoyable in life.
It was it's like 55 minutes of a domestic argument. And then just like, how do you say it, man? Like, there was nothing attractive about it, but it was the funniest movie I've ever seen.
I love
It
it.
You'll
was-
never look at a bounce ball the same.
Look, there are these sprawling shots of Bat Pussy on the hippity hop, right? And she is bouncing along, and they are the widest, longest shots.
And then,
And
it
then
just-
she gets to the middle of the screen, and it's like she just bounces in place for a while.
and just cuts into this couple arguing, grabbing her pussy.
when, when she goes, if you knew how to fuck somebody in the ass, you'd learn by now. I was like,
I think my favorite part is when Bad Pussy shows up eventually at the couple arguing, and then she just gets naked, and then the guy tries to fuck her, and then still can't get a boner.
this is the greatest movie ever made. I mean, Everybody else should have just sat down their cameras and walked away from life. You can't top this.
And you read the story, right? How it was a lost movie that like someone just found it in a box somewhere.
Somewhere in Memphis. The guy who found it is actually, his name is Mike McCarthy, John Michael McCarthy, JMM. He directed a movie called Superstarlet AD. It's distributed by Troma. Teenage Tupelo is another movie that he did, and then oh my god, well, anyway, he's sort of like a Memphis movie legend.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, finding this movie,
fact,
he's a legend.
Fun fact: I smoked pot in his attic with him, Lloyd, and my film teacher.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a good night. That was after we walked parents at the Citizen Toxie Memphis premiere in 2003. It's like they came for the Student Film Festival, you know? And then we were hosting Citizen Toxie right afterwards. And I swear to God, everybody's parents came. They got through about 5 minutes of it and then just walked the theater. It was pretty great. They split. Fistful of weirdos left.
That's great. I mean, especially if you met the guy who found that pussy. Like, that's legit.
I mean, I didn't know it at the time. I had no idea. The Sore Losers was the one I was thinking of. Because I saw him maybe a year and a half ago now. It was at a convention in Memphis. And yeah, anyway, I was down there. I talked to him for a minute. Got a copy of the Sore Losers. Like, he's still kicking around.
Did you watch the DVD extras too? Because a nice little Batman and Robin short film on that DVD also.
Oh my God, did we watch that? Yeah. Look, I don't know. So that's night 1 until like 4 a.m. And then the next day, like, we got together with effects. We did a little shopping. We went over our scripts. And then, God, we got into a little bit more graphic design that night. Think we got to bed at around 2. And then on Sunday was like a 5-hour script meeting.
Wow. 5 hours.
Yeah. It was a whirlwind of a trip. It was, and then out on Monday.
Well, damn. So Cleveland was nice.
Cleveland rocks. I was at Lady Lorraine Studios in Lorraine, Ohio. That's Bergio and them. They have a beautiful spot. Like the interior of that area is big enough that like you could potentially put a stage in there. And then in addition to that, like a big old ring, and then you could host rock and wrestling all day long.
Yeah. Hulk. That's right. We're talking rock and wrestling. Hulk Hogan's rock and wrestling. Actually, before we do, I actually just remembered something that very important that happened this weekend that I can't believe I forgot, because Dwayne Steeler is here in the chat with us. Good buddies of ours, Sevi Martinez, friend of the show, made an animated pilot, had a screening for it at Lucky 13 here in Brooklyn, asked me to play something. I was like, sure. He's like, also wanted to play Bloodstab. So we played Bloodstab, premiered the trailer for Portrait of Payback for everyone to see. And man, it was like Steeler just took the stage. I hope he's listening to us here, because Steeler took the stage, man, and just hyped the crowd up. Like, people were just like yelling and howling. You know, the whole theater like erupted the second Steeler got up on stage.
Dude, as they should. As they should. What was the general reception of the Portrait of Payback?
No, it was great. Everyone was cheering, howling. Like, you know, everyone would just keep asking me when it's going to be done. And, you know, hopefully soon. It's in the process of the color. You know, the sound's done. So it's like right here. It's like right there. Right there. Oh, we got a phone call coming in. But like I will say, man, I got a little emotional that night. Like to hear people still yell for during blood stab and like quote some of those lines, and for like we made this random Steeler wrote this thing by himself on loose leaf paper for us, and we just decided to make his movie one day 5 years ago, 4 years ago, and here we are just playing in a theater and people are still reacting to it. Sometimes I feel like I don't do anything that feels like important to the world around me. For
Oh,
for these group of people that were like the 30, 40 people plus there, I was like, wow, this feels I did something important,
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see the finished product.
Well, we can send you. Have you seen Bloodstab? That's out. I can send you Bloodstab if you want to watch
I
it.
would love for you to.
It was our first real movie that me, Reeves, and Dwayne made together. And I mean, Bergio was on it. It was it was the first time the crew was like we just were like did it together as friends and family. And then COVID happened after, so we didn't do much until pretty much Cook
Aw.
Island. But the seeds of all that kind of start with Bloodstab of this road that we've been down on, which is. That's why I got emotional. And also, I was a little drunk, but I was just like talking to Reeves, just like tearing up about it. It was just like, man, just.
I feel like I missed nothing. No, sorry, James, but you got emotional during
Yeah, well,
Bloodstab?
well, yeah. Now I got to repeat my whole monologue.
No, you
all
don't.
over
I
again.
heard everything. You're right. You got emotional.
Because we made this thing. I mean, Ben, you remember because you gave us money to do it.
I doubled the budget in a
Yeah.
night.
I think the budget was exactly $666. And I
Budget
understand
of evil.
what I was saying, Ben, was just that like it's just this weird thing of like I never feel like I do anything that make anything that's really that important, and it's like to be here 4 years later for a theater full of people to howl at Dwayne and yell these lines still. It just like it blows my mind. We'd not like I thought about that when we made it, but to carry on this much is just like hilarious to me and just amazing.
So, and that's I guess that is the lasting bit of it, right? Like that's why you make stuff in general.
Yeah.
Is I mean, for me, that's the thing. That's the pop. You know what I mean? Is like I don't know. I don't know. You find a group of people that enjoy it, and even if these folks like that's the thing. Every time it plays, it's a new audience.
Yeah, there were new people, and they were still quoting it after. They were, asking me about
mean-
it and stuff like that. And we're talking about the bathroom, how it was our only bathroom filming. Like, so we had to use the bathroom and also film in it at the same time somehow. And our lead actress had IBS, so it just was like
Oh God.
it was a crazy day, but we still made our day. Shot from 9 to 9. Then we all just like chanted because this is when Jericho was still doing his little bit of the bubbly, So we're all like little bit of the bubbly. We all just like cracked champagne, got wasted after. It was magical. And
Love
I don't know. To think back, I said, we just made some fun, and yeah, all these years later, now playing Portrait of Payback, Dwayne's here in the chat. It's just like this journey, and it all kind of starts with Bloodstab. When I get that phone call, like, hey, do you want to help Dwayne make Bloodstab? And we just did it.
Yeah, I mean that's what you do. That's what you do. That's you help your buddies. I mean, Dwayne had a hell of an idea. June was a hell of an idea. Um, how do you say no?
Yeah,
How do you say no?
you can't.
You don't.
In fact, we had to turn people away because there was just too many people. But yeah, man, that was that weekend. It was really amazing. And it was also funny because me and Dwayne were the only ones that weren't animated in this whole, like everyone played these animated shorts and movies. They were all pretty funny. Some somewhat famous YouTubers named the Frog Boys had a bunch of shorts on there. They're really funny. So everyone check them out, the Frog Boys. But it was funny to be like the only ones to not be like animated,
I love it.
But yeah, super fun weekend on there. But yeah, Hulk Hogan's rockin' wrestling. Hulk. That's all. That
Okay.
shit's gonna be in my head
So-
for like all day.
Look, I remember this quite well. Like this is during my 5th year of life. I think this was actually my introduction to wrestling in general, and this is sort of what
Oh,
spawned.
wow.
Wow. I mean, I feel like people tend to forget how popular Hulk Hogan was in the
Right.
80s. I mean, you know what I mean? So I mean,
Right,
like,
and at this time, he was basically carrying the WWF.
yeah.
Entirely, and it's like 85 is like
That's
so they're still
post-WrestleMania.
like it's not that they're like struggling, but it's like he's really just started pulling people together. Now I don't know the timeline for when Vince started to take over, but he
Well, I
was
think
still kind of
85
like
was Mania, was it not? Like the first Mania, which was a gamble, but I remember. I'm pretty sure that was.
85. Yeah, if you think so, I agree. I don't know why I thought that was
85.
83.
March 31st, 85.
Got it. Okay, so this is going to be a fun little timeline, right? March 31st, 1985. When was the first episode of this?
Oh shit! I should have pulled that up. I have it right over here. All right, first episode. This is also, let's see, September. So it's September of 85.
Got it. So what it sounds like is they took the success of Mania, and then it just, I think it spawned this because people
yeah.
saw the draw. They saw what was going on.
Right, I mean,
they
the
started
Hulkamania,
doing
it was all the rage.
well, and they started doing pay-per-view. You know what I mean? This is when that shit's getting
Yeah.
proven that WWE can, or WWF at the time, can draw a number.
yeah,
Well, also toys at the time.
Yep.
Toys
True,
were
toys.
marketed to children for these wrestlers, these wrestling caricatures. So that was an easy translation into animation. Let's also sell that to the children too.
So my favorite thing about this whole show is the way they blend like the live action with the cartoon, right? Like did you guys saw the one where Bobby the Brain is like lifting his weights and he's doing the whole whatever?
yeah.
For me, I'm like, I love these bits, but I think that's why when I'm like 7 or 8 and I start like renting the tapes and like I'm staying up on Saturday nights or whatever, I think that's why I tuned into these guys, is because I was used to seeing them Saturday morning.
Which was, I'm assuming, the plan. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, yes, that is the plan. But I mean, I'm very susceptible.
I mean, I would have been too. I mean, Liz, did
Very
you
s-
watch this when it was on at all?
I didn't. I was too little to even know what this was when this was going on. So I watched it when so it used to air when my kids were little
Wow.
on USA.
I didn't know that because I've never
Yeah.
seen this. I
So-
didn't even know it existed until like only a couple of years ago.
And they reran it, and I was like, what did I miss? And I started watching these as they played, and I was like, oh wow, this was a thing. Because at that in 1985, I was too little to know what was going on, but like I played with wrestlers and stuff like that as I got older because these were toys that my brother had.
Right.
So, I was stealing those and putting them in my Barbie townhouse and stuff and having, giant matches off the
The
side of the
wrestlers-
Barbie townhouse.
The wrestlers invading the Barbie townhouse. That's a party.
Frog splash into the pool.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So when I was a kid, the first wrestler toys that I had were the big giant
Yeah.
solid rubber
Yep.
pieces that don't move.
Yeah.
My brother had those.
Classics.
Like Calvert had the ring. I never had the ring. I just had the dudes. But it's one of those things where it's like you look back at it now and it's like, wow, that was a toy. a big just chunk of hard rubber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I guess
To
it was meant
bounce
to be. They're
around.
like, yeah, the kids are gonna throw this shit around, so just make it hard rubber.
I mean, you could get those guys to kind of do anything
You
until
could, and they lasted forever. The only thing that would happen would be that the paint would come off,
Yeah.
like the faces would come
Yeah,
off
and
eventually.
if you have them now, I mean, those things are worth a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to my, friend of the show, Andrew Romalo. He's also a big toy collector, and he has a bunch of those wrestling, those 80s figures, and he showed me his like chart. There's like a photo chart where you cross off all the ones you have, and he says he's like a quarter of a way there, and there's still way like too many that exist, and they go for so much money. Like there's ones over $500,000 if they're in the right condition.
that to me is insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
But I wish I had it
Yeah.
so I could sell it. Do you know what I mean? Like I wish I had it so I could sell it. But I did. I love those things. All of my toys got destroyed. I was hell on toys. The second I found fireworks and my toys, it was over. I was that kid.
Were you like a Hulk Hogan kid at all? Did you get some Hogan merch or run around be like, "Oh, brother"?
I mean, look, I'm sure I had Hulk Hogan underoos. I know that, but not really. Like I always enjoyed wrestling, and I always identified more with the heels. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I was a Piper fan from the get-go.
Piper's the
like
man.
as soon as I discovered Roddy Piper, that was it.
Same.
he was my guy. Like, he was my guy.
He could talk. I mean, he could wrestle, obviously, but he could talk, and that's I could have given a shit about like, and when you're little, you could give a shit. It's like how this cartoon works. You could give a shit about them actually wrestling. It
Right.
was about the build up. It was about the promos. It was about the smack talk. That's what we wanted to hear. It was the drama. So this worked perfectly for that.
Which is also one of those things where it's like, especially back then, they kept the drama very small and very basic.
Yeah.
You know what I
evil
mean?
Russian man, Hogan's big and he's gonna slam the evil Russian man because he's offending America.
Yes, and like that's the. I mean, what a conceit, but everything was very simple up until like I'd say like the late 80s, early 90s. It was all just smack talk. Oh, you think you're for the working man? The working man sucks. Working man's good. Yay, money sucks. Boo. Like the storylines were so simple, and I think that does kind of resonate with like youth in particular. And then you match that to like play fighting.
Yeah.
It's the best. You're like, I didn't know grown-ups could be on TV and just do what me and my buddies do all day. Just yell at each other and then flip around in the yard. I don't know. It's perfect. It's perfect. But my favorite thing about this show is the way they divide out like the heel team and then the babyface team.
I know.
They're cars.
And then but the crazy part is like it's every episode that basically they're like, oh, we're fighting until there's a bigger bad. Here we go. Now we all have to work together, but I still hate you. I love that dynamic in anything where you have to
Yeah.
work together, but you hate each other.
Yeah.
And you're openly trying to sabotage the other side.
Yeah, there's like some
throughout
weird
it.
like cruise episode and all this where they, all the wrestlers get kidnapped and Hogan's like, you gotta join me, Roddy. Like he has to like join up with him and then Roddy Piper just gets scared, so he just joins up with Hogan anyway.
I can't take that. So I understand that they couldn't have the wrestlers
Yeah.
themselves voice themselves because they were traveling constantly.
Especially this time. I mean, what those guys are working basically a full year, no breaks.
Right.
Yeah.
That said, nobody needed a Brad Garrett Hulk Hogan. Nobody needed that. Nobody needed. What is it? Uncle Phil?
Yeah,
That
he's
Yeah.
Junkyard
that's
Dog.
a
Yeah, it's
junkyard
Shredder.
dog. These voices, Patricia Arquette's dad. Like there's so many
Rodney
people
Piper is the
in here.
worst. Like listening to Rodney Piper talk, I was just like, because like you said earlier, Rodney Piper is the talky guy, so
Right.
we know how he
And I want to hear
sounds.
Not
his
Ickis.
voice. I
Yeah,
don't want to hear meow. I don't want to hear Ickis from All Real Monsters. I want to hear
yeah,
Roddy Piper. But I understand now, like in research, why they didn't use the
Yeah,
wrestlers'
there's.
voices.
Could you imagine that schedule? You
yeah,
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And half these guys are already like on speed,
yeah.
on coke. In
Drunk.
Junkyard Dog's case, have you guys watched The Dark Side of the Ring on Junkyard
No, I don't
Dog?
think I've seen that
Oh
one.
yeah.
Oh my God. Apparently these guys allegedly were also whoring. Like meaning they were being paid for sex.
They were the sex workers. And
Yeah.
also Jimmy Snuka did not age well. Like
No.
Oh my God.
Murderer.
how did how did they not
Murderer.
know? And they put him in this, like everyone was aware, weren't they, that he was a little psycho?
Well, he got off
Well-
though. I mean, whatever it was, like,
I
And
mean, he's killed someone.
yeah,
like
he
killed
murdered
someone.
his girlfriend.
But I think they were all aware at the time, even in '85, that he was psycho. Why put him as a major character in this cartoon?
Because he was,
I
I'm assuming because he was still popular at the time, and I know the story. I mean, this is what I know because of Dark Side, but is that Vince, basically paid off all whatever the fuck and then got Snuka off, so all the charges were dropped. So technically, he didn't kill someone,
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
up until recently,
Yeah, only
like right
recently, yeah.
before his death,
Yeah.
they were taking him back to trial over it. And then I think he was, they said he was unfit
Yeah, I
for
think he
trial.
died before he ever got reconvicted or anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out
But-
to Jason Eisner for that episode.
Oh, I thought you were going to say shout out to death. And I was like, Jesus.
No.
Wow. What are
But
we
it is
doing?
crazy, actually, when I was thinking about it, watching all these wrestlers on here. I mean, it's only Hogan, Wendy Richter, Tino Santana, and Hillbilly Jim that are still alive.
That's
Wow.
sad.
Yeah, because they're all not that old. It's just that's the life those wrestlers had between the schedule and the speed and the drugs. It's like
I thought Nikolai Volkov was still alive.
he died in 2019.
Oh, fuck. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. But I mean, it is the life,
Yeah. And sad, most wrestlers, especially in the 80s and 90s, don't live past like 60, unfortunately.
No, man, no. I will tell you this. This is also the reason why when I started watching wrestling, though, I loved Junkyard Dog was because of this cartoon.
Oh, really?
man.
Like,
That's
I'm
awesome.
not even kidding you. So basically, like, I liked Heels. I liked JYD. Like, I did like Hillbilly Jim a lot, but the whole thing there is, man, is like, the bad guys were always 1,000 times more fun, and they were goofier. They were better to watch. They were better
Yeah,
to
Mr.
watch.
Fuji, he's just amazing.
Look, man, I'm not gonna say that I necessarily agree with like stereotyping or anything. Not necessarily. But as far as like creating character,
Yeah.
like I don't know,
But
man.
it's
Some of
funny
these
that like
characters-
literally the entire heel team that's in this are all just foreign stereotypes. Every single one of them. Iron Sheik, even Roddy Piper, he's Scottish.
he's Scottish, and Moolah,
Hashtag American entertainment.
Yeah.
and Moolah is just a woman.
Hey, I mean, she was a real life heel. If you watch that
Yeah.
Dark Side, also.
Oh, one
He's
of the
horrible human being.
and the fact that every woman wrestler that came up in the WWE had to like kiss her boots.
Yeah.
Weird.
And
Mhm.
that's actually I think my favorite episode of Dark Side because that's what made me really like Dark Side, because it's made by Vice, right? So everyone already has this like perception. Vice is very. I mean, they are, but when you go to watching something, you think it's very. Their agenda is only one certain kind of direction, right? And Dark Side, I was like, well, where are they always going to take these stories? Are they going to like, I don't know, fabricate it to just like, or not just kind of focus on one aspect or an agenda about
Right.
it. But the Moolah episode, the way they handle it, of like, they tell that they bring all those people to talk all that shit about Moolah and what she did to them, and rightfully so. But then you get this other half of like people who have been around Moolah who also like love her, right? And they think her daughter's in it. There's like other people who worked with her, and it's never about a certain like agenda, but it's just, here are the people's stories. And there's, and
Yep.
it's just for you to take away what you want. But it's like, here's the stories from the people who were in it, whether it's bad or good. Here's their story.
Here's the whole thing. And you're right. They don't. It's very cool that they don't lean too much one way or the other, because really a lot of these are just tragic stories.
Yeah.
Think about Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
That two-parter episode is amazing. Both of those are
Mhm.
amazing. And actually being able to talk to his son, getting that information in, and what he meant to him,
I
and what
know.
he meant to Guerrero, and like all
And
of
you
this.
hear his son talk. He's like, yeah, my dad's still a hero. Like, I still have his boots and his
Right.
tights and stuff. And it's like, yeah, for them to air that is like insane and amazing, because clearly this guy's a murderer, right? But here's
Right.
his son, that he has is still his perspective of what it's like to see my dad do this. So that's why I love Dark Side. I love that they do that stuff.
Me too.
Even that same episode with Vicky Guerrero, which she talked about how Eddie OD'd for the first time, and she left him, right? Like that was her story, that she was like, I couldn't deal with this shit anymore, and he wasn't getting up, and then she just left him. And then I forgot how he because he didn't die then. It was like, that was like his first OD. But for her to say that on camera is kind of fucking insane and open, and
And I
Yeah.
left his ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's one of those things where it's like, I don't know. It's heavy. And
Yeah.
for all of that to have been like the impetus for a child's cartoon show.
But yeah, man, that's also why I love Dark Side too, because I love learning about just like the world outside wrestling, of like, what these, like the story of like, you see them as these superheroes, but then here they are as people, and what they've gone through, and what it
And-
takes to be the superhero, to get to this
And-
cartoon.
What it takes to be the superhero.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's heavy, man. And arguably the darkest one of them, the leader of the pack, Hogan.
Yeah, the one's still kicking it.
The one still out there, doing it, brother.
Yeah, I would love to
Oh.
see this like some sort of Hulk Hogan. Like, so that's the thing too, man. I've watched Hogan documentaries. I see the shit that WWE puts out, and it's like good. Like, you learn some shit about what it took to like get through these stories, but then you don't get that dark side story of just like, here's also some of the grittiness and some of the shittiness that they've also gone through. So I want to see that Hogan story too, where it's like, here's the rise of Hulkamania, and then also like what happened, in the 2000s even, or all his failed business ventures, and then his sex tape, and then whatever,
It'll happen one day.
Yeah.
It's gonna take him dying. Is
Yeah,
what it'll
that's
take.
what I wanted to say, but I didn't want to go that far. So
Yeah.
thank you, Ben.
And there
Well,
was
I
supposed
mean,
to be a movie that I don't think it's ever going to happen, unfortunately.
Wait, what?
There was going to be a movie that was supposed to come out, at least by now
Mm-hmm.
already. Like, Chris Hemsworth was going to play Hulk Hogan. They were doing like Netflix, I think, was making the Hogan biopic.
Oh my god.
That's why if you watch Thor: Love and Thunder, reason why Chris Hemsworth is so jacked in that movie, because he was literally training to be Hulk Hogan.
Wow.
No shit.
And it would have been sick. I would love to see it. I'd love to see a biopic, because you said the rise of Hulkamania, the steroid trials, the sex tape stuff, him turning heel in the 90s, his failed movie career. Like, there's so much, the pasta
I
business.
want to see Chris Hemsworth as Hulk Hogan on the set of Suburban Commando.
Yeah.
Please and thank you. Do you know what I mean? Like, that would be unreal.
I've never seen Suburban Commando, actually.
Suburban Commando's
We
great.
need to remedy that.
I mean, it is.
I don't know
what?
which Hogan movie it is, but there's a scene where he's like riding a motorcycle. I think it's Suburban Commando, but he's riding a motorcycle on the highway, and you can clearly see someone like throw a dog into like
Into the
the
lake.
lake behind him, like during the
Mhm.
shot.
Is that Suburban Commando or is that the Nanny movie?
Or maybe it's I don't know which one it is. I just seen that clip though.
Okay, so that clip is hands down one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. Every time I see it, and you can find it just and watch on repeat on the internet for forever, and it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. I think the guy's just teaching his dog how to swim.
Swim.
Everybody's like,
No.
and it's like they shot that stuff on film, so I'm sure they couldn't like look back, so like no one ever noticed until it was already like probably processed and they were watching on a screen somewhere.
when they were getting the rushes, getting the dailies, they were like, "The fuck is this? The fuck is
But who
that?"
on that Mr. Nanny team wasn't editing well enough to the point to see that happening? Like,
Or-
that's insane.
So here's my other theory. My other to that is going to be like, as you're watching, that's a big day. That's a big day. You shut down a road. You've got you've got your motorcycle. You've got other trucks. You've got your camera truck. So as they're coming by, you're driving with it on the back of the thing. You're also going to pull that motorcycle up onto that truck to get the shots from the sides. Film is crazy expensive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In comparison to like digital, to reset all of that shit, it's like one and done.
Yeah.
Whatever they got. And that was probably the best that Terry looked that day.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. And also the budget probably wasn't very high for them to want to reshoot it,
Yeah, no. They're like, so what? Who knows who that guy is? Did he sign a release? Fuck
And I
him.
think these are VHS movies too, if I'm correct. Unless they did come out. I don't think Suburban Commando, Mr. Nanny came out in theaters.
Yeah, they got
Oh, they
theatrical.
did. Well, they look
Yeah.
like straight to video movies.
I'm very sure it was limited. Mr. Nan.
No, except I've only seen clips, and they only look like straight to video kind of movies. But I mean, I don't know, I guess I haven't really kept up with most of Hogan's acting career. I don't know. I was never really that big of a Hogan fan, to be honest. I mean, mostly, in my life, Hogan is, he kind of like, he was already an old Hall of Famer wrestler at that point. So it was like, oh, here's just Hulk Hogan. He just rips off his shirt and does his like poses. Like I've only ever
Wow.
seen him wrestle once.
So Mr. Nanny came out the day after my 13th birthday. Release date was January 15th, 1993.
Are you a Capricorn?
I'm very much a
How did I
Cappy.
not know that? That makes a lot of sense.
It does, doesn't it?
Yes.
But did it get
Makes,
a
like-
theatrical release?
That's what I'm double checking right now. Yeah, it got theatrical. Let me see.
Did they say how much
office.
money did it make?
Yeah.
$5 million in total.
Hang on. Box office gross. I'm about to have to shut this dog off. Okay, it made 4.3 million USD.
What? I said 5
US
mil.
dollars.
That's hilarious. In total, that's rough.
That's low. That's its box office, and then let's see its budget.
His budget is probably 4 million, or probably even under
10 million.
10 million. Oh my god, in a 4 million box office, hilarious.
Oof.
No one, yeah. I guess Hogan wasn't that popular in I guess early 90s, right? That was kind of the decline of Hogan.
That's
You know.
big time the decline of Hogan. That's hysterical though, grossing 4.3 million against a $10 million budget. I love it. But no holds barred he did for 8 mil. And let me see, no holds barred.
Well, that they did a crossover too. I know in wrestling, they brought like the actor. I don't remember the actor's name. I know he's in Friday. I just don't remember the actor's name. But I remember they brought him in as an actor wrestler to like in his character from that movie to like promote the movie, and then Hogan had to like wrestle him at like a pay-per-view.
So No Holds Barred against an $8 million budget brought in 16 mil.
Yeah, so they probably saw that and were like, let's make this movie, and then that bombed, and then Suburban Commando somewhere in between.
But then they broke. Well, the only thing is they barely broke even because Vince says he financed the movie and the distribution fees. So basically, they just broke even on that with what distribution was. So they made no money.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you're a big a star as Hulk Hogan, I mean, there's only so like how long that could really last, right?
And especially in that type of environment too.
There's some wrestlers that have that entertainment actor, like they have their natural born actors. Like you have to be able to present the kayfabe and to do the promos. But there's some that have it to such an extent that they really like they excel more so.
Yeah.
In acting. And look at The Rock.
Yeah, The Rock.
CM Punk announced today that he signed with this big talent agency, and I'm hoping to God that he does more films because I loved Girl on the Third Floor. Like the man can act.
I only saw him in the Rabid remake, and I was like, oh, it's not that good.
He's a great actor.
He was in that show Heels. He's pretty good in Heels.
My favorite wrestler turned actor, and it bums me out that they didn't give him more. It was Andre the Giant.
Bless his heart.
Yeah. Especially in The Princess Bride, he is he's the best part of the movie.
And like, I only found this out like I forgot what documentary I watched. It might have been on a Netflix show. I don't know. I watched something about that movie, and they talk about Andre, and he was already kind of like because that came out like later in his life, so his body was already breaking down. So like the scene where he had to like catch the girl. Right, he couldn't do it because his body just wouldn't do it. So he had to be like propped up, and then she was like lowered on like a fucking string because he literally couldn't hold her up.
And then,
I love that I love that this animated series is before his WrestleMania 3, whenever it was, the heel turn.
Yep.
So he's not a heel in this series, and that makes me happy. That's the best Andre the Giant to me.
As he should be. No, I agree. Andre's one of those things that should be pure. He is like straight up spectacle. Do you know what I mean? And I get that. That is that's like straight up carny. You know what I mean? Like I love that. But
I mean, there'll only ever be one Andre the Giant.
There never could be another. But the best thing about The Princess Bride too is when he's got what's his name on his back, and he just keeps smashing him against the rock. Just Wesley. He's got
Carrie Ellis.
Carrie Ellis. There you go. Thank you. And he's just smashing him.
Right? Is he trying to like choke him out or something? Is that what it was? Yeah.
Yep. And they just keep squishing him. I love the fact that you can barely understand him. I love the fact that he is mostly drunk. I am sure that entire movie.
I wonder if I can pull. There's like how many beers did Andre drink? There's like a crazy fact about it. I'm gonna find it real quick because it's insane. It's like over 100. I'm pretty sure.
It was in I've seen that documentary that you're talking about, and I don't remember what it was, but it's in that as well about how many beers he drank, and it was just ungodly.
It said once he knocked back 117 beers in a single night.
Jesus.
How?
Yeah.
But he's literally like 4 or 5 average men in one dude.
Yeah, literally, yeah. And if you see like him, like there's a photo too of him holding a beer can. It's like a famous photo because it's under. He can like consume the whole beer can with his hand.
He hides it with 2 fingers.
Yeah.
My favorite Andre the Giant story is when he choked out the entire plane by taking a shit.
Yeah, it was farting. I think he also farted too on the Princess Bride movie. Like that, he like had she shut down production.
My kind of guy.
Could you imagine? Like, man, I did. Me and my buddy Nick in high school, we made a guy puke one time with our poopies. And not like it, it was like Captain Planet style, with our powers combined. It was during band camp, and he was in a stall, I was in a stall, and we both had like high school pizza shits, and it was aggressive. And I have to double check with him. It may have been Dan. May have been our sponsor, Big Dan. But somebody came in, puked, ran out, and then puked on the other side of the dorm that we were staying in. For band camp, we would go to Tennessee Tech, and there was another band on the other side, and he ran and he vomited on the other side of the door.
Dang.
Then we got in trouble, and I was like, "What would?" I took a shit. It's not my fault. Like, I took a big deal. My body does a thing. Well, apparently our pooping, is a thing for people to get mad at.
Well, I have
Wait to
the
hear if it
Andre
was Dan or
story.
not.
Yeah, we
I
got
think
Big
it
Dan.
was.
Yeah,
Was.
let us know, Big Dan. I know you're listening, so let us know. Give us your Dark Side of the Ring story perspective on it.
Dark side of my butthole ring.
Yeah, I have the Andre story here. So it says 1987, Andre the Giant let out a 16-second fart that brought the entire production to a standstill. Nobody apparently. So it says nobody said anything. Everyone stood there quiet except for the director, who goes, "Are you okay, Andre?" Andre replies, "I am now, boss." And just this deep Andre action, like, "I am now, boss."
Could you imagine? Like, I don't see. I would be in tears. I don't care how professional I'm trying to keep anything. I would be the guy that gets kicked off that set. Like, sorry.
16 seconds is so comical, though. Like,
Yeah.
you think about going to the microwave and doing 30 seconds
yeah.
and how long that takes, 16-second fart.
And I'm assuming it was being recorded. There has to be some outtake somewhere that exists.
Boom's picking it up.
James, can you imagine that's on somebody's private reel?
Oh, I hope so.
I hope so.
Please let us play it on air.
My God.
Dear sound guys from Princess Bride,
Oh,
if
we
you
could
have
get
this,
those
please, for the
names.
love of God.
We could get those names. I mean, I'm sure anybody, they'll answer their phones.
Just find some old
Let's do
crusty
it.
sound guy, and he's like, "Oh yeah," pulls out some like tape from his box all the way in his garage somewhere.
Yeah, no, you guys can have this. Here you go.
It just says Andre's fart on it.
Oh, I've been meaning to digitize this for the longest time.
As you wish.
I wonder. Oh my God. I do wonder what scene it was during.
I know. I wish, especially imagine it's something like dramatic, or like there's someone's delivering a monologue or right in the middle of their line, and then it's just like, and it just goes on.
I am so and so and so and so. You killed my father.
they're-
Prepare to die.
And the actors are just standing there quiet, like waiting for it to be over.
I mean,
I
what do
need
you
that.
do?
I need to see it. I need to hear it.
What do you do though? What do you do in that moment? Because I get invited not to come back the next day. I explode.
Well, it's also like he's had to have been an intimidating presence. He's
Yeah.
one person I wish that I could have met. And could you imagine him doing that and you not knowing if you could actually, like, you want to die laughing, you want to just do something, but like, is this man going to crush me? You know, he could step on me and kill me. Like, what? How do I react?
You just see, and that's the thing. I would be like, "Look, dude, you see me? I'm a little bug."
I would
I'm
imagine he would just have humor, like my Andre the Giant would just just be funny. You just
I mean,
laugh
that's what I
off.
remember from the doc is that he was a funny person. Like he loved to
Mhm.
just pull pranks and joke.
when he says, "I am now boss." I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah. No, so
Wow.
this back to this cartoon. I mean, you guys have any episodes that stuck out to you?
Oh my god. I did like the boat one that you were talking about before. I thought that was a great episode. Another one that I really liked was oh my god. And it was like Big Top Boobs or something, where they were at the circus and they were idiots at the circus. It was boobs like dummies, you know. I think
Yeah.
it was Big Top Boobs.
Yeah. One of them says something like, "This is how we're gonna trap these boobs," or something.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
And
I like
thought it was
rocking
cool.
zombies.
Yes. Yes. The zombie episode was really good. I like the very first one because it opens up with Junkyard.
I
and
think the
there's
first
Junkyard.
one's my favorite because that's the dynamic of the show I wish it was more of. Like, here's like the kayfabe lives of these wrestlers, you know? Like when I see Hogan just show up and like his relaxing outfit is him in a karate gi, like reading a book. Like that's how I imagine. If I was like 5 years old, that's how I imagine Hulk Hogan lives, you know?
I did like the one where Captain Lou gets kicked out of his house and goes to live with Hulk Hogan
Yeah.
in his fancy apartment.
that was the
And
first one, wasn't it?
just-
That was the first episode. I
Is
think.
that the first episode? And he just fucks up everything.
Yeah.
But I love it when Captain Lou is getting kicked out by his landlord. She's throwing all of his shit out, and he's like, "What about my rubber bands?"
There's another one later on, and I forget exactly which one it is, but this is also the point in time in wrestling where there is the real rock and wrestling connection going on.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So Captain Lou, it's either the zombie one or the circus one, and I think it might be the circus one. But he's saying some kind of like magical spell or incantation or something, and he literally says in his magic words, "Cyndi Lauper," as a magic word.
Yeah, I
Which-
mean she's iconic. I think she was at WrestleMania also, the WrestleMania one.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. His appearance in her Good Enough Goonies video is iconic.
He is. It is so weird where wrestling is in this, and like who latches onto it, because
Mhm.
again, like you think about a thing that spawns like regionally, and it is a thing across the country that every region has. That
Yeah.
every region, doesn't matter where you are, every state has some type of wrestling chapter.
And it's I think about that a lot, of just like how popular wrestling is, because it's like such a regional weird theater thing, but yet it's also a $1 billion corporation, and it's like played like all around the world. Like there's these have you guys seen these like Ugandan wrestlers? They do like this like mud like ring that they built. Whatever. They're
No.
starting to grab like real traction now. Like actual wrestlers are coming down. They're like flying down there and like wrestling.
Wow.
And now like Cody Rhodes apparently is buying them all like real wrestling gear. Like he's already posted some
Aw.
video. But it's like crazy to think that it's just like this thing that's like, yeah, I don't know, it's just so goofy, and yet it's so like popular. It means so much to people for just having these dudes in tights, run around and fake fight each other. It's such a weird thing to process, but it's also amazing. So
it's really hard to reconcile. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But there's a theater that takes place in wrestling that I think so
that's
I'm
why I
just
never
gonna
got
put-
into UFC, because I tried to watch it when I was younger because I was like, oh, I like wrestling, and my buddies like fighting. I was like, oh, I love fighting. Maybe I can get into it. And the lack of theater and stories would made me not like it. So I don't like sports, but I love wrestling.
I'm the
See-
same way. Like, I really don't want to see somebody beat the shit out of someone else without some sort of theatrics, some
Yeah,
sort of giant,
yeah.
something's a spectacle.
So-
Otherwise, it's just somebody beating the shit out of somebody. That's boring.
it this feels like it feels like caveman theater.
Yeah,
Like
it's so true.
seriously, shit that predates the Greeks,
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
we could everybody dancing around in fires. These are the stories they would tell each other. He's so bad, yeah,
Yeah.
terrible. He's good, yay, good. And then they just sit and yell and beat their chest and then fake fight so they can all get up and do it again tomorrow. Nuts.
I think
Oh
it was
my God.
South Park. They called it redneck soap opera.
Yeah. Oh, the South Park wrestling send-up is, hands down, some of the best television ever.
I
made.
remember being a kid in middle school when my friend was getting it, because we had our wrestling shit in school. My friend was doing it, and I was like, "Oh shit, that sounds like fun." I love wrestling, and I had
Right.
that South Park moment of what is this? What, I have to grab this guy's waist like that? I thought, where's the ropes?
Did y'all have kids in school that would get visibly upset and cry if you told them wrestling was fake?
Yes.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, for me and my friends, we had this understanding that it wasn't real, but we also never admitted it. You know what I mean?
It's more fun to play into it.
Yeah.
It's more fun if it exists. It takes you out of your problems more if it's
Exactly.
Yeah. Though
Yeah.
my brother once, because he was really young when I was watching it, Rey Mysterio was the world heavyweight champion. Chavo Guerrero, who was his best friend at the time, hits Rey Mysterio in the face with a steel chair. Booker T pins him, wins the world title, and you would have thought that I just murdered a puppy in front of my brother. He was the most devastated. He was crying for days, just being how could Chavo do that? How can
Oh,
how can you do that to Rey Mysterio?
I love that. How could he do it? You think he's getting over it, and then the poor kid just is re-traumatized again over cereal on a Saturday.
Because Rey Mysterio was off TV for a while after that, so it's just he's oh, it was an I Quit match. Dude, they had an I Quit match after that. That's what it was. Chavo and Ray had a match after that, an I Quit match, and then Ray said I quit, and he was off TV for months. And my brother would be like, he quit? They got him to quit. I can't believe Rey Mysterio just quit.
Oh wow, that's heavy, bro.
That's the
That's
power of
heavy.
wrestling. But I've never, honestly, for me personally, I've never gotten that. I've gotten emotional watching wrestling, but I've never gotten to my brain never. I always knew what it was. I never had that moment of oh no, Edge cheated John Cena. What a bastard. I always loved the story and I'm just into it. Whatever it is.
Well, what I think is funnier is really when it is real life though, because wasn't there that whole thing with Edge and Lita and
Yeah, Matt Hardy.
But then they worked that into storyline, even though that's
Yeah.
what was
Yeah,
going
'cause
on
Lita
behind the
cheated
scenes, and
on Matt Hardy, and then I don't remember the full story but Matt Hardy got released around that same time, so then his girlfriend cheated on him, then gets fired, but then Vince looked at it as oh, this is a story, and he brought in Matt Hardy to a random Raw or something like that, and he beat up Edge, and it was a huge feud for months. So literally this guy who just got cheated on by this guy and get fired, and then now has to like do their like drama on TV, and then fake fight each other.
That's like that is good.
Yeah.
That is good story, good everything. Like I love it.
Yeah, that's the power of wrestling, man. I said I just love story. I mean, even most recently, man, Cody Rhodes finishing his story. You know, it's like even now at 30 years old, watching wrestling, and then Cody's pinning Roman, and then you feel it. I don't know. There was like electricity to it that's just it brings you back. That not a lot of things can do. I don't think.
No, and watching through this, you want to talk about like taking me back. I get what you mean. Like in going back and watching like old manias, old whatever. I remember the kid that I was. Get it. I remember getting those like big 7-year-old feels. I get it. But like where this hits me at a point to where it's like this was very much the dawn of it for me. Like this really, and the more I can't think of anywhere else, because my parents weren't big wrestling fans. My great grandmother was. She only spoke French, and she would like stomp around and like slap her legs.
So she must have loved Andre, right? Was she an Andre fan? Do you remember it all at all?
Oh, I have no. She was into it was a black and white Louisiana stuff. She had one shitty little TV in like her little 1-room house out in the fucking bayou. Yeah. No, I have no idea who she was watching wrestle. But she would like sit there and she would like slap her legs and like stomp on the floor at the fucking TV. It was the greatest thing. I remember that. But this was where I really got turned into it. And I guess it's the same thing. Yeah, you look at like their goofy cars, the way they just constantly keep fighting, but then have to partner up, but then still hate each other. Like it is a microcosm in this whole fucking thing. And it only lasted for what, like 13 episodes? 13, 14?
One season. Did not last very long.
I wonder why.
I mean, what I've seen is that it just basically tanked, and also like they were, I don't think anyone really liked this show when it was out, which is also, I mean, we'll talk about it later. I'm not also the biggest fan of the show.
No, it's not. It's in the grand scheme of things, it's not a great cartoon. It's not a great cartoon.
It's not a great cartoon, but it's the characters. These are people that we're familiar with, and we want to see them in these situations, in these
Liz,
slapstick type situations.
Well, what's your like wrestling? Like when did you get into it? Like how did wrestling into your life?
So my brother was into wrestling when I was little, and he kind of phased out of it and didn't really care anymore. But the more that I watched with him, the more that I got into it. So I stayed with it and watched wrestling. And I didn't really have anybody to talk about this with, except for there were those kids at school that took it so seriously. And I always just thought that was a little bit too extreme. Like that was a little too much. I was intelligent enough to not be that person in elementary school. So I just stuck with it, and I stuck with it through the WCW era, you know, and then TNT come, we've got cable and TNT is there, and we've got all
So
this
did you watch the
cool
Wars?
stuff.
Did you watch the Wars? WCW, WWE, Monday Night Wars?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, I did. And I had that to myself, and I didn't really have anybody to share that with until I was much older, probably like college.
Damn.
Oh my God.
That's so sad.
So that it is what it is. Now there's people like Brandon, my husband.
Yeah.
His grandmother was one of those people that took this shit really seriously. So he'd go and watch it with his grandmother, and that was like a big deal. And she'd yell at the television and stuff, and that got him hyped up for it, you know. So
That's
there's,
awesome.
I know people that have that in their, you know, in their families, people that pass it on generation to generation. I just didn't have that.
Yeah, I didn't have
See,
that really either.
but-
Like, I remember my uncle telling me that my great grandmother also loved wrestling, but I never watched it with her at all. But for me, I didn't know anyone. I remember my cousins watching it in like the late mid '90s when Stone Cold was like a big deal. But then they just kind of got out of it, and then I got into it just because my one friend on the school bus one day was like, "Hey, you know, Edge just had a live sex celebration on TV," and I was like, "You can do that on television?" And then just literally watch Raw from the next week, and then haven't stopped watching wrestling since.
What is it like when Mark Henry, Sexual Chocolate, is convinced that China's friend is a biological woman, and then they out this person on TV as being either trans or something alternative. WWE has done a lot of objectionably terrible storylines.
Oh yeah.
People like to talk about the Attitude Era all the time about how great it was, but I mean, there's some terrible things that they did in the 90s. And especially even up to the mid 2000s. Pretty much, if you watch wrestling up until like when Chris Benoit like did the murders, crazy time. Like they were just throwing everything at the wall. And why these wrestlers are fucked up as they are.
When I was a kid, so I lived in East Tennessee, and then we eventually moved to Middle Tennessee. But we would go back and forth, and Smoky Mountain Wrestling was
Smoky
a
Mountain.
big deal
Damn, yeah.
in Knoxville. And so we would be going through, or, you know, if we would be in East Tennessee, would be there and be able to get to access it easily. So that is one thing that I had early access to because my grandfather would take us. He didn't even like it,
Yeah.
but he would just take us because my brother liked it.
Well, yeah, it's something for the kids to do. It's relatively cheap. Yeah.
So that was a lot. That just made me think of, because we were talking about like how we grew into it or how we grew up with it, because that stayed with me. And then the rise of ECW
Oh, yeah.
also later, that was a big deal too, because it was hard to watch. It was hard to find it to watch. And then I didn't know shit about hardcore wrestling. I didn't even know that existed, you know, and just seeing these people do Sandman, all these people just doing crazy shit. And here's New Jack again. Like, okay, cool.
You're like, I remember that guy.
Yeah.
I knew him when. But so I guess during that time you were coming up, like was that before or after Jim Cornette's move? And I really don't know like how long he stayed associated with Smoky Mountain, what the deal was after he went to WWF or what the deal is, because like in going back and watching Raw and seeing Jim Cornette come over from Smoky Mountain, and then the people that he's trying to bring in, and he's just trying to see what sticks every week. It's like, who can we try out? You know what I mean? Like what is it? He brings in like the Body Donnas, you know? He brings in what is it, Rock and Roll Express or whatever?
Classics. Classics. I mean, those guys are, you know, they're Hall of Famers. Actually, I think they got the Hall of Fame this year or last year.
So it's crazy to me, like just the history and how, for lack of a better term, particularly when talking about Smoky Mountain, how inbred all this stuff is.
Yeah.
Because it is, and
I can remember also not to get stuck on Smoky Mountain, but I can remember all of the racism.
Oh yeah,
there too, because people were so mad at the gangsters and stuff that they would come in and bring their Confederate flags and come in and wear KKK hats and stuff.
I remember that Dark Side of New Jack talking about that. and being like, but I was just also like, I remember him saying things of like, yeah, that was like awful to deal with on a weekly basis, but also we were doing it also on purpose to fuck with all these
It
white
was-
people because they knew how angry they would get.
It got them angry and it sold seats.
Yeah.
Yes, because people want to come in and yell terrible things for their $5.
Mhm.
But you know what? As horrible as that situation is, I don't want to defend that.
James. I need to go on record as saying
Yeah.
something.
Just go it.
If I can pay $5 and go in anywhere and just say horrible, terrible things, like please take all of my money and just lock me in that room
Yeah.
for forever.
That,
Especially if I can say horrible, terrible things with a bunch of other people beside me. I need that space now.
that's exactly what I was saying.
Welcome to East Tennessee,
Yeah.
circa whatever it was, 1992 or
Like, not-
1993.
Yeah, not to defend that exact thing, but what I do love about also wrestling in general is it's like the only place you can go where I can just be in a seat and just yell, tell someone how much they suck and like,
Yeah.
you know, you're a fucking awful person, and then, you know, want someone to beat the shit out of them, and they just do it. You know, it's like it's allowed, and they want you to do that. You know, if you don't boo them, they're like, no, you have to boo me. Tell me how shitty I am.
Do you remember that like little VFW hall show or whatever we went to
Yeah.
in Franklin,
That was
Tennessee?
fun.
Yeah, such a good time.
I remember that.
And
Like, I remember the crowd being a little dead, and then I could not remember the guy's name, but he was like a manager, and he started walking around and was just talking all this shit to the people and got them all like riled up.
it is like that's how you do it down here. There are so many weird little like in-town rivalries. Whatever. There was a spot we used to go to in Hartsville, Tennessee. They would have a show once a month. They would bring in all the people. Like it's a cool, fun little like atmosphere. And for me, it's like the smaller the town, like the better I feel the wrestling
Agreed.
is.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that little hall was sick, man, because so like, you know, in general, wrestling tickets are extremely expensive. Especially you go to shows like AEW or WWE. I mean, those prices get real bad. But I love going to that show because I can never afford. I've honestly, at all the wrestling shows I've been to, I've never been to the barricade, ever. You know, because those seats are just always just insane. It's my dream one day, but I haven't ever done it. But to go to that small show and we had like to sit at a barricade was one of the coolest things ever.
You know? Like, and the notion that you can still sell, that you can still like get there, and that's what it's for is for those people that night is pretty great. Like I also went and saw micro wrestling in Clarksville, Tennessee. Buddy,
I'm so ready for micro
Yeah, I want to
wrestling.
go.
Oh my God.
I'm so ready.
You want to talk about some workers, man.
Isn't there
you want to talk?
Isn't there like a documentary show out right now about like micro wrestling?
I believe so.
I remember seeing a trailer for it. Maybe it's not out yet. But I remember seeing a
I
trailer. It was
know
like,
they're huge on TikTok right now.
They're big on the Instagram too. I've been watching.
They're-
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for something to come close to me that I can attend.
Oh,
And it's on. You and Dan have to go too.
I went a couple of years back. It was me, Calvert, Jen, and then Calvert's lady, Amberly. We all went in Clarksville, and it was awesome.
So
Yeah.
when I trained in Clarksville. Y'all, I haven't talked about that, I don't think, with you guys. But
No,
I did train briefly and was working with NWA
what?
long time ago, right before COVID.
Before
And-
before what's his face from Smashing Pumpkins?
No, William Patrick Corgan.
Yeah.
He did. He's actually a really great dude.
Oh,
He
cool.
really is, and he everything he does for NWA, he does with his own money. And Everybody that I was around in that promotion, including Cody Rhodes and Brandy, were wonderful
What?
people.
What, you were around
Great to my
fucking
children.
that's
But it just
amazing.
didn't pan out for me. And Clarksville wrestlers are anybody that's a wrestler is at heart some sort of carny.
Yeah,
Like that's
Yes.
just
for sure.
it's par for
Wrestling
the
feels
course.
like the last carny thing that still
It
exists.
is. It is for sure. And that so that's a training operation owned by Crimson, if that tells you anything. So if you know the level of carnyism that's going on, but being around those people and seeing their actual person, like their
Yeah.
non-kayfabe personalities, took me out of it during that time. It took me a few years. It took me after COVID to get back into wrestling to actually enjoy it again. Brandon was wrestled briefly
Oh,
right
wow.
outside of like the Cookville Crossville area.
Like, actually, he's been in matches. Like,
Oh yeah,
wow,
yeah. Under you should look him up. J.D. Myers,
that's sick.
Jonathan Davis, Horn Myers for Michael Myers. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Wait, so how far
we were
did you
both
get with
carnies.
how far did you get with training? Did you take bumps and hit the
Oh
ropes?
yeah, I did. But my primary role was to be for lack of better words, a Miss Elizabeth type,
Oh, like a
which
valet.
would
Right.
work out. Yeah. But to be able to know what I was doing and hold my own in the ring
Yeah.
in the event that something was written that I needed to be involved in.
Yeah, sometimes
Nice.
you gotta
And
interfere and take a little bump. Oh, that's awesome.
Like Derek's little bump.
Yeah, Derek. I don't know if you ever seen this, Liz. Derek for Mr. Fitness, part of the Rose Garden. Derek's out there doing his thing, and like the heel wrestler's like doing some fucking with the match. Derek walks over and is like, "Hey man, you can't do that," and then he just gets like pushed to the ground and just takes this nice bump to the floor. And then in the same video, there's like this little girl who's sitting front row, just like runs over to go check up on him.
To see if Derek's okay.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you can't hear what he's saying, but all I can hear him going is, "Oh, my hip."
My
hip.
everything that I know about Derek and everything that I know that he's been through, and just being around him for the brief time that I was around him, like he's a trooper.
Yeah, he's the
He
man.
is a motherfucking trooper.
Like I was just with him this weekend. I yelled at Derek. I didn't mean to, but I did.
Sounds about right.
Oh, don't yell at Derek.
I know.
Derek,
I'm a
put your
terrible
goddamn
friend.
phone away.
Me and Derek have an amazing relationship, but I got frustrated one morning and I took it out on Derek. Then I apologized. It's like, I'm sorry. It's not you. It's life. But like, I think I'm still bitter about when I met Derek, about the fact that he made me drive all summer on shit. Like,
He
on
made you
shit's funny,
drive?
he made me drive all summer. He didn't drive the art van like not one single time.
Why?
He said because he was from the country and he was scared to drive in New York City.
Oh,
And I was like, I'll drive. No, all is he's lazy. He didn't want to be responsible for the fucking truck. He made me be responsible for it. Then
I would call him right
I
now
got
if he wasn't
speeding
working.
ticket in Ohio because he picked me up in his mom's in his mom's SUV when we were going to Pittsburgh for a thing. We're driving through Ohio. I'm not used to it. It's no excuse. I was doing like 90 and a 70, hauling ass. Didn't even realize it in this thing. Get a ticket. Okay, cool. I'm driving Derek's mom's rig. Why? Because Derek didn't want to drive through Ohio no more. He'd been driving for 6 hours, and I'd only driven for 2 prior to that. And he's doing me the favor of picking me up. Fine, I got a ticket. We'll go. We get into Philadelphia. I'm driving one night. He's supposed to be navigating. He is not navigating. The next thing I know is like we have to pull across like 4 lanes in traffic to get to where we need to get to. So I do. And then I start screaming at Derek. I'm like, I am no longer driving your mother's fucking car, Derek. You need to drive. I'm uncomfortable now. Yelling at him. You drive. So since then, I don't drive anymore. We do have a complicated past, but he is doing very well. He's doing very, very well. And, you know, the stuff that he's getting together for art looks tremendous.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll see them in a couple weeks. I'll be there.
You're going to be there for the 4th, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I wish. I wish. I can't justify another trip anywhere before I move, so.
No, I mean, I get it. I get it. That's why I decided to enjoy my summer.
All right.
All right. Well, let's fucking go finish up this shit here. Ben, what are you giving this show? What are you rating it? What do you got for us? What are your final thoughts?
I mean, okay. Nostalgia is the only thing that boosts this up to like a success for me.
Success.
And it's largely because I hate to say it, if I didn't love the characters, if I didn't think it was an interesting concept, whatever, like the voices aren't great. The general animation is pretty basic, pretty run of the mill, nothing fancy. And if it wasn't for nostalgia, this would not be a thing I would suggest anybody need to see.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, if you're not an 80s wrestling fan, I don't know how much you'll like this.
Yeah. But for me, a success.
Success.
Liz, what about you? What are you giving it? What are you rating it?
So I'm right there with Ben. If it weren't for the nostalgia, it's definitely a success just for that. Just to see these
Success.
wrestlers as these bumbling buffoon cartoon characters. It is not a good show. Other than there's no other way to state that. It is not a good animated show, and that part sucks because it had potential to be amazing, and now that I know that it bombed, I understand why it did.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is right after WrestleMania. How is Hogan not the biggest cartoon character in the world, right? You know,
right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, man. Because I never do this very often, but I'm giving it. Because, you're saying, I think it's like the nostalgia is what makes it great. You know, to see these wrestlers do this thing. I love the wrestler bits in between. I mean, Terry Funk shows up in one of them, teaching. You know,
so wild.
Yeah, Mean Gene. You know, I love hearing his voice again. Like I love seeing that shit. But yeah, it's like I don't know. The show just confused me. I was like. What's the dynamic? The pilot's like, you know, fucking Captain Lou Albano gets kicked out of his apartment. Now he's got to live with Hulk Hogan. I thought like that kind of shit was going to be the show. Because the second bit too is like be cutting into Junkyard Dog's like, you know, junkyard house or whatever. And I thought like that should have been the show. I mean, to here's the kayfabe side of these guys and then the wacky things they deal with. And then some episodes get weird. There's like an alien robot and like you said, zombies and
buckets
and like fucking
bucket.
What episode they're chasing a horse around and I was like, what's going on? Like, and so and yeah, it just got weird like that. Like, there's another episode I liked when it was like the mayor's running for office and he brings in the wrestlers, and then the bad mayor's like, I'm gonna get my heel wrestlers on my side or whatever. And that's the kind of shit I dig. Too, like I wish it was more like that rather than like said some episodes are on an adventure, some episodes are not. Like I don't think they really even understood what they were making as a Saturday morning cartoon.
at one point in time, there's the time machine, and then Hulk Hogan was like, "I was Robin Hood." What? Okay.
Yeah, so that's why. Yeah, and the animation's not all that great either.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I can see why this failed, and it could have been sick. I mean, I'm surprised. I don't know. I'm surprised in the '80s that Hulk Hogan didn't have more cartoons. I don't know. Like, I'm surprised it's not because how fucking famous he was. But yeah, I don't know. Big Derek.
He did, and this was the best one, James. He had all the cartoons, and this was the best one.
And then also not being so much of a Hogan fan. So, but yeah, whatever. That's rockin' wrestling. Hogan's whatever it's called.
Hulk Hogan's rockin' wrestling. Well, James, if that's what we did and we talked about this week, what, pray tell, are we talking about next week?
So next week, guess what? So we're gonna talk about another show that also technically doesn't exist. Just like we did. Unlike my show that I just had like a really shitty pitch, these guys actually made a full pilot. Because guess what? Sebi and his buddy Kurt are coming on here to talk about their pilot they just made for Beef Creek. Stars your favorite old man, Ben. You know, Lloyd Kaufman's in it.
Very good. Very, very good.
It's a nice, crisp 20-minute pilot. Super funny. And this is an exclusive. Nobody else has seen it besides us over here at, Lucky 13 last week. And we're the first people to get to watch and talk about it. So
I'm very excited.
It's gonna be
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
This is going to be good.
And it's independent, like we know these dudes. Like these guys worked their ass off this past year to make a pilot. And it sounds great. It looks great.
Mark me down for a success.
Mark it, dude.
I love it. That's awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah, it should be a good time.
Hot links.
Success.
Can't wait to get them hot links.
Yeah, I'll send you guys a link. And yeah, sorry to our people who like to listen. Unless I can't really give out a link, so you guys have to take our word for it of what it was like. But yeah, man, I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited to have Sebi on. So it'll be a good time. Beef Creek next week.
Beef Creek next week.
That should be the theme song. But yeah, man, thank you guys for every week, man, hanging out with us. All right, I'm gonna flip this over. Let's fucking get out of here. Peace out. Until next week. Hulk.
Bye.
Hulk. Hulk.
You guys, this is all Kyle's mom's fault. Shut up, Cartman. Kyle's mom is the one that started that damn club, and all because she's a big, fat, stupid bitch. Don't say it, Cartman. Wait. Don't do it, Cartman. Wait. I'm warning you. Okay.
Hello, peasants. Want to kill all